Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and welcome back to Batman Be Vlogged, the weekly vlog series where I just realized I have been saying weekly even after I changed my upload schedule on these. The vlog series where I review an episode of Batman Beyond after watching it for the very first time. Today, we are looking at episode 52, Unmasked, written by Hilary J. Bader and directed by Kyung-Won Lim. As always, because I do these unscripted, there is a blanket spoiler warning in place in the off chance I do decide to talk about spoilers. So if you would like to not be spoiled, this is your one warning to pause the video, watch the episode in question, and then come back and resume. And we're here, guys. This is the final episode of the series. This is the final episode of Batman Beyond. Batman Be Vlogged is not ending after this, but this is the final episode of the show proper. And I want to say too, I will save that for towards the end. So I stick a pin in that, we'll come back to that. But what a note to end on. We are ending on another Hilary J. Bader episode, which, she kind of wrote a lot of the early part of season 3. And then as we kind of saw, other writers wrote the other episodes for the later half, and she comes back to write the finale. And as I said, kind of as we went through season 3, I kind of came to the realization that of the writers for Batman Beyond, Hilary J. Bader is my favorite. This episode doesn't feel like a finale, with good reason for that. Batman Beyond didn't end per se. It wasn't exactly canceled per se either. From what I remember, and I should have looked this up again to refresh my memory, that's on me. Batman Beyond was put on hiatus, and every time the discussion for renewal came up, the executives in charge, the studio, the channel, the network, etc., kept putting it off until eventually they just put it off so long they decided just to cancel it. So essentially, now I was going to make a Doctor Who comparison, but that comparison does not work. It was put on hiatus, and they just kept putting off renewing it until they decided, okay, yeah, we canceled it. So yeah, this episode doesn't feel like a finale, and it's a fine episode. It's one of Bader's weaker episodes, but it is. Well, let's just get into it. So I think one of the weakest parts of this episode is that it's presented as an extended flashback. It's not a clip show, but it's got a framing device that sets up a flashback for the duration of the episode. So showing up late to set up for a school thing that Max is running, Terry notices Nelson makes an offhanded joke about Batman. And Max lets slip that she made some kind of lame joke that we see more of Batman than we do of Terry. And Terry freaks out about this, worried that, people are going to figure out he's Batman. To which Max counters, what's the problem? This would probably help with things. This would certainly improve your relationship with Dana. I'm not getting into that again. I've said my piece about that. But then Terry goes into why he can't reveal he's Batman. And he tells Max the story of Miguel Diaz. And this event apparently happened early when he had started being Batman, so presumably in the timeline somewhere around early season 1. And after a scrap with Cobra, which kind of doesn't make sense. Again, Batman Beyond is episodic, it's not serialized. There are elements of serialization, but overall it's not serialized. But the season 2 episode Plague made it seem like that was Terry's first encounter with Cobra. And now we have this episode saying, no, I encountered them sometime in the timeline of season 1. But anyway, during an encounter with Cobra, a building gets set on fire, and a young kid named Miguel is on the roof, and Terry tries to save him. But of course, as a little kid, Miguel is terrified of Batman. Because, obviously the Batman costume in any iteration is designed to strike fear in the hearts of criminals. So, of course, it would terrify small children. But anyway, to gain Miguel's trust and help him before, Miguel falls off the building, Terry feels the only thing he can do is unmask himself. And, of course, seeing that Batman is just a regular guy puts Miguel's fears at ease, and Terry is able to save Miguel's life. Back at Cobra headquarters, realizing that Batman keeps thwarting their attempts, Cobra figures out that there is a rat in their ranks, and they figure this out through a mind transmitter, a device that they can put on people's heads to display their memories on a TV screen. And then they see the news broadcast that Miguel has seen Batman's face. You can figure out where this is going. But yeah, so Terry now has to try and figure out where, to protect Miguel, because as Bruce points out, you have made that kid a target. It doesn't, and so Bruce is trying to protect Miguel from Cobra, but of course Cobra succeeds in kidnapping him anyway in a really ingenious plot. The way this gets resolved, I won't spoil, but it's really fun because it does kind of play into what the mind of a child is like and what he saw or what he thinks he saw the day Batman saved him. It's very interesting, and two, it's really interesting watching this episode in 2024 because it seems like the debate over should heroes reveal their identities has shifted drastically, because it's always been a source of drama in superhero media, the duality of the hero, their hero life versus their civilian life. And it feels like lately the debate has shifted more in favor of, the hero in question can tell the people close to them, can tell the people they trust, so they don't have to shoulder the burden alone. And it's interesting because this episode still came from a time when heroes felt they really couldn't tell anyone. So I think this episode is more interesting in that respect than it is overall. It's a fine episode. It's got some great animation. Cobra is once again absolutely goofy. Not as goofy as they were in Curse of the Cobra, but about as goofy as they were in Plague. I'm sorry. Cobra is probably the Batman Beyond villain that... Cobra is an organization too, I should say. Cobra is the Batman Beyond villain that I just can't take seriously. Like, again, I keep making the G.I. Joe comparison because their name is Cobra, but they are that silly. They honestly are. But yeah, I have nothing else to say with that. Unmasked is a fun, concise little story that uses a very simplistic plot to really sort of explore some deeper themes. Wow, I just said this about the recent Doctor Who episode. But those are just my thoughts. Have you seen Unmasked? What are yours? Start a conversation in the comments below. Before we end properly, I do want to go back to what I was about to talk about in the beginning. I think, overall, Season 3 might be my favorite season of Batman Beyond. It was a consistent string of really strong episodes. Even the weaker episodes that I didn't like Speak No Evil or Countdown or Curse of the Cobra, they weren't as bad as some of the weaker episodes encountered in Season 1 and 2. Overall, I think I would rank them. Season 2 is the weakest, just because it's so long, so it feels like the quality was much more variable. And then Season 1, which had some really great episodes and a really strong narrative through line. And then Series 3, which is just essentially from top to bottom, really strong quality. Now, like I did with Season 1, I'm going to list my top 5 favorite episodes of Season 3. I didn't do this with Season 2, apologies, because of that massive hiatus I took in the middle, and I just didn't feel like rewatching those episodes to refresh my memory. So, again, top 5 episodes for Season 3. Number 5, King's Ransom, the season opener. I think it's a really interesting sort of who's deceiving who plot, and it's a really good way to close out and end the Royal Flush Gang. Number 4, Betrayal. A really strong character piece for Terry. Will Friedle gives a solid performance, so does Clancy Brown. I do feel like parts of it rehash big time, but I think a lot of it is held up, again, just by having a much stronger focus on Terry than episodes normally do, and just one fantastic ambiguous ending. Number 3, Out of the Past, one of the few legacy villain episodes we've had in this series. This is a great character piece for Bruce, similarly, and Kevin Conroy, Olivia Hussey, and David Warner are all phenomenal. Number 2, Big Time. Easily one of the best Terry focused episodes in the series. Terry and Stephen Baldwin are phenomenal, and it's probably one of the deepest explorations into Terry as a character we've gotten all season. And number 1, my favorite episode of season 3, The Call. It uses its 2 episodes so nicely. The pacing is really solid. The sense of buildup and tension is amazing. The payoff is really good. Christopher McDonald is such a weird choice for Superman, but he's great too. And it is a really good setup because, and in the greater scheme of the DC animated universe, this is such a good setup. Like, it feels like this was the pilot, this was the tease for Justice League, which we would get like a few years later. And overall, it's just a really strong episode. And that's it for Batman Beyond. But as I said, we are not done with Batman Be Vlogged. We have 2 more episodes left. And the next episode, like a lot of the DC animated universe, especially the 90s shows like Batman the Animated Series and Superman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond had a tie-in movie. So remember to like, comment, subscribe, click the bell next to subscribe to get notifications when I upload, and in the description box below you'll find the link to my socials where you can follow me and get updates on the channel. And this is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and I'll see you guys next time for Return of the Joker.